Okay. Just gonna post on Discord and there we go. On the Kings.
Oh no, it's time to stretch.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Malison, the Cursed City is a fantasy survival horror RPG published by Devolver Digital, currently in development, in which you investigate a sinister city filled with hundreds of grotesque monsters, demons, and weirdos. It focuses on exploration and atmosphere. Its main influences are both classic Western RPGs like Baldur's Gate, Japanese RPGs like Final Fantasy, as well as survival horror games such as the Resident Evil and Silent Hill series.
I feel like some Harmonia.
As you sneak through the city, you encounter all sorts of strange characters, many of which you can speak to, trade with, recruit to your cause, steal from, or even attack if you so choose. You can approach this game in a million ways. It's up to you how you plan to survive. Your actions may lead to wealth, disaster, betrayal, or may even lead to uncovering some of the city's darkest secrets and the game's many hidden endings. The main character is no powerful hero. You awaken in the city transformed into a weak, frail goblin, and may need to rely on desperate measures for your survival. You will likely need help from other survivors you meet, and it is up to you to decide who you trust and recruit to your cause. Combat is in a classic turn-based style with a focus on managing scarce resources and building unique strategies by recruiting all sorts of different party members, equipping them and teaching them new skills. Monsters move closer to you during combat, increasing the threat and tension as they begin using their more devastating attacks. You do not want them too close. I stream development work of Malison Tuesday to Friday at 7 p.m. EST on Twitch. I also have new development update streams on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. EST. There is also a Discord you can join for the game. Check below.
Yeah, starting just a bit. Yeah, tonight I'll be just doing some chill pixel arting. Just gonna be finishing up, hopefully, that Kingdoms of the Dump sprite, and then I'll be continuing the work from yesterday. That's right. It's gonna be a chill time. It's gonna be a chill time. Alrighty, let's get started. Hello, hello, folks. Hello, folks. Well, I'll probably return to it later. But I was working on a big old monster sprite. I can actually show it real quick. I was working on finishing this sprite yesterday. I actually kept working on it after the stream a little bit. And yeah, this one's almost done, but I still need to split it into separate parts. And also once I split it, I'll probably need to draw some parts underneath and also make the different frames that have the eyes closed. But yeah, all 4 of the roof super bosses are detailed now, but they still need a little bit of extra work to just prepare the fights. And also I still need to actually figure out what I'm gonna do with Jasper's form. Still not sure. Yep, that's the plan. They're gonna be fightable. And their fights have designs now, except for Jasper. I'm still not sure about what I want to do with Jasper. I'm thinking maybe something where maybe something where he sort of changes phases, and during the different phases he does different things. And you kind of have to behave differently depending on the current phase. Problem with this is that something like this usually kind of demands like separate sprites for the phases, and that would be a lot of work, especially for something this big. So I'm not sure yet. Yeah, maybe. There's probably going to be some consequences, yeah. But I mean, you know. We'll see. Alright, let's put some music on. Let's start with some Gnidrolhog, later a little harmonium, and later still, we're going to end the night on some Genesis. Should be fun. So a lot, just a good old prog rock night. I don't know how you're actually supposed to pronounce Gnidrolhog. It sounds vaguely like the name of some sort of like... It sounds like some sort of like Norse mythology monster or something. I wonder if that's where that word comes from. So, okay, let's think a little bit more about the potential concepts for Jasper's fight. Maybe that's something I can sort of think about while I draw this. So I would really like all four of them to have a strong contrast to their fights, you know? I feel like that's the ideal. If they all kind of have some good contrast between them, I really would want all of them to feel very different when you fight them. And all the others have a lot of ads, so I'm thinking just giving no ads to Jasper might be part of it. Yeah, I'll be focusing on the water apartment after that, yes. Hopefully I should be finished with the astronomer updates like maybe tomorrow. Yep. Yep, that one's probably gonna... It's probably going to make it in. Well, I think... So one of the astronomer fights right now turns one of your allies against you. Another one sort of forces you to quickly kill those bubbles, because if they pop, they put you at threat to being killed. And one of them is more about managing a constant sort of like managing like incoming damage. So all three kind of have, the three current ones all have sort of a, you know, they're all kind of different sorts of battles. So what would be sort of a type of battle that isn't really being represented between them yet, you know? Something that's distinct from these. I'm thinking... I was thinking, yeah, maybe different sort of, like, modes that maybe Jasper gets into, and depending on the current mode, maybe you should act differently. But... I mean, a lot of stuff like this is usually about basically, like, getting aggressive or defensive, depending on the phase. Now there's also... So other sort of archetypes of bosses. There's one that's, you know, the basic, you know, damage race, but so far that's really, you know, the furnace very much has that. The furnace is very solidly the sort of the big damage race boss. So I feel like that's already sort of really taken. So I don't really have a boss that like shifts its like element. That's like one archetype. A boss that has like a kind of changing like weakness, and you have to sort of like adapt your strategy based on its current weakness. I think that could be good, because that means it's a boss that essentially tests your ability to shift to like deal damage in like a large, you know, a large amount of different damage types. And And I think that's good. I think that's useful. That might be something. So yeah, maybe he does this thing where he shifts his damage type. That might be something good for Jasper. Where you need to go in there with just a variety of damage types you can do. I think that might be good. I think that might work. That would make him feel pretty different from the others. And it would also kind of counter, you know, a lot of strategies that are all around a specific move. Because he would be very resistant to all but one damage type for like a turn. But I would need to find some way to represent its current phase in some strong ways, right? Like, it would need to be obvious that, okay, now it's weak to fire. Now it's weak to piercing. Like, it would need to be... That would need to be very clear. So there would need to be something about... And I don't want to make, like, whole alternate sprites for it. So it would probably need to be, like, a secondary thing about the sprite. Yeah, it could be something about... Like, it could be something it says. Or it could be just sort of an accessory to the sprite. Something secondary instead of the whole sprite. Yeah, the mask itself, maybe. Yeah, shifting phases, good. Yeah, I'm considering this one. I don't think I'm fully sold on it. I don't think I'm fully sold on it, but I think that might be an angle for it. Yeah, something like that would be good. I think that's, you know, that's something that's worth testing on the player build. Being able to just, you know, deal a large amount of different kinds of damage types. Although, this is really something better, maybe not for, like, a final boss. Maybe it's more something that's better for the kind of boss you can fight anytime. So you can sort of, like, give yourself a little mini-quest of obtaining a lot of different damage sources for it. Well, this is something that's, like, at the very end, so it's not the ideal position for that kind of boss, I think. So I'm not fully sold on it yet. I could be still looking for another idea, you know? Something about the mask in some way might be interesting. Something that sort of like really uses the mask as some sort of concept might be interesting. Like, I mean, changing the mask depending on, yeah, on like different phases. Maybe it could be something that's not actually about damage types. Maybe it could be about like just a different moveset. And it switches masks every few turns, and the mask it's donning right now is kind of telling you the moveset that it currently has. And you can sort of like learn what each, you know. Like, that might be kind of fun. Maybe, what if it, like, had an ability? What if it had an ability? what if it had an ability where it could essentially give its mask to one of the party members, and whoever has the mask on is somehow taking all of the damage that it receives? Or maybe it always concentrates all of its attacks on whoever's wearing the mask. So you just know, okay, this character is in fucking danger for next turn. You know? I mean, there's already... this already happens in a bunch of bosses with, like, the targeting mechanic. The, like... The little aiming reticle that appears. So it wouldn't exactly be a unique thing. It would be like... It would be something that's already being used, so... So I'm not sure about that one either. Yeah. Sort of forcing you to rely on a specific character to do damage, and everyone else is sort of sort of forced into a support role for a turn. That might be kind of fun, sort of forcing you to adapt. Yeah, that might be fun. Or how about simply... Okay, this might be a little simple, but... What about if it just has a really, really nasty counterattack move? And so you just have to be super careful about any attacks you do. Like, anyone who attacks needs to be protected or needs to be at, like, full health to survive it. So doing any damage at all. Doing any damage at all to Jasper comes at an immediate cost, you know? Just immediate, nasty, nasty cost. That would be really nasty because, of course, on the first turn, you'd be likely to attack right away. Although maybe not. I would say towards the end of the game, most people spend the first turn mostly doing self-buffs and only attacking with one character. So I think that would kind of give them a warning. So maybe that would be okay for this late. Because, yeah, at this point, I feel like most people, at the very least, like, use, you know, puts on, like, different kinds of buffs at the start of the fight, especially with Sam. Sam has a lot of, you know, whatever. So I feel like most people, against bosses this late in the game, spend the first turn mostly applying buffs. So I think a character doing nasty counterattacks isn't, like, that bad late in the game. Like, you're unlikely to take the brunt of it. Yeah, that would definitely make the fight very, yeah. That would definitely make the fight, very damage over time reliant. Which is already something that's the case for a lot of bosses. I'm using right click. It's your bird. It's your girl, Danny Boys. Right click is the color picker. Something I really recommend you do if you do pixel art. Get a quick color picker as your right click. Yeah, to me that's always a key feature you want for any pixel art program. That speeds things up a lot. Okay, now that would be maybe the basic, like the core concept, but I feel like the boss would still need some kind of adds to spread, to spread the damage like the other bosses do. They all have some kind of adds to make sure you can't just focus fire on the boss and kill it quickly. All of the other astronomer fights are like that too. So what would be maybe the concept for those, for that boss's adds? I do like the idea of like the damage types thing, but I'm just thinking that I'm just thinking that that might be a better, like an idea better suited for something you can fight at any time. Because that means you can sort of like give yourself a mission to accumulate more damage types during the game. Well, almost everyone's going to end the game with a bunch of damage type options because at this point you have so many usable items you've collected. So I feel like it's the kind of test to the player that's a bit more meaningful like halfway through the game than at the end. That's the main reason I'm having second thoughts on that idea specifically for Jasper. I'm not rejecting the idea completely. I'm just thinking for a final boss that might not be the ideal. Yeah, some damage types are definitely pretty rare. Oh, cold, yeah. Cold right now, I think there's only exactly one source of it, which I would like to add more. I would like to add more ways to do cold damage. It's very scarce. I don't remember if I gave any of them money drops. But yeah, at this point you don't have any use for money anymore. This is one of my favorite songs, I think. It's real good. What if... What if Aster... what if Jasper summons, like, these separate, like, tentacle things, but instead of attacking you, they're like support. They're like support, and they cast, like, buffs. Yeah. That might be interesting. That might be kind of good. I'll think about that. Yeah, if it spawned like little like tentacle puppets that are obviously meant to look like the different astronomers. Yeah. They're all like he's kind of lost his mind, but he still has his friends. That'd be kind of fun. And he can summon. He can make one appear that's meant to be Sybil. Yep. And if when he makes that one appear, he loses a turn, sobbing. Or maybe when you kill that one, it has a very strong reaction. It's in November. I don't know if there's a more specific date than that, though. But they have announced it for November. I think it's just November. I don't. Can anyone check? I forget if they made a more specific date than that or not. I didn't really make music for Look Outside. I made some tracks, but they were mostly like non-musical atmospheric tracks. The two musicians who've made music, like actual music for it, most of the music is by Eric Shoemaker, and he uses Fruity Loops. And Non-Collision Object uses PX Stone, which is the Cave Story. The Cave Story devs own custom like chiptune tracker sort of thing. Not exactly a chiptune tracker, but it's something like that. I have some plans for some more Sybil-related stuff, but we'll see. We'll see what makes it in and what doesn't. Like I said, I've been a little shy about making too specific promises for what's going to be in 2.0, because there's a lot I want to do. And time is running out. I'll do my best to put in as much stuff as I can. I would say the Sybil stuff is pretty high priority, but at the same time, it's also a large amount of work. So, you know, the high priority is good, but the large amount of work means it's, you know, some of those larger plans are... are a little risky to go all in on, because that's gonna dig into a lot of other possible ideas and concepts. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Jasper as something that maybe counterattacks. Or maybe Jasper would not be doing counterattacks. Maybe that would be one of the effects of one of the pseudo astronomers it summons. Little astronomer puppets. Hey, I'm glad it's helpful, Bhushan. I'm glad it's useful. I'm not very used to making tutorials like that, so hopefully it's relatively usable. Yeah. Now, one thing about this is it would probably it would kind of like the theming of something like this is a little, there's a lot of things you could read into this. It could be like, the initial intention of this is more like that he's, that this is, he's just imagining his friends still being there. But it could also be that he's picturing himself as some sort of puppet master manipulating his friends. So depending on it, considering it would be obviously a more sinister look, since it's a boss battle, that would probably seem like that's the connotation. Yeah, it's just yeah, barrel is just inherently like you need to use the guinea pig to have barrel be part of the final encounter, so yeah, that's just how it turns out. Yeah, I mean, she initially had a design for it, but all right, some harmonium now. Oh no, it's time to stretch. Le soleil dans le vent de nous faire ses adieux. Tu regardes nous deux. Viens de commencer à descendre. Avant je me rends, il va nous montrer ses couleurs. Vers le pas, il est allé rougir ailleurs. Yeah, let's do a little stretch. Brille de magicien. I'm not gonna answer. I'm not gonna answer lore questions like that, Itsy girl. Yeah, 2.0 is going to be the final version for now. I don't have any plans for other updates after that for now. Other than like bug fixes, because it's going to be a big update, so there's probably going to be some bugs in it. A little bit of all that, Thug. I started when I found, back in high school. Back in high school, I just randomly found RPG Maker installed on one of the school computers. Started messing with it, but I didn't really have time to do much with it. So when I was back home, I looked for that program online, and that way I found a community of people who use RPG Maker, and then I joined that community, and then this is where I met Eric Shoemaker, who's the co-writer and the main composer for Look Outside. And we've been working on projects together for years now. Yeah, I was at his wedding. How many Malison songs there are? I don't know, maybe like 60 songs right now in the soundtrack, maybe more. There's way more people making music for Malison. Way more composers for Malison than there are for Look Outside. No classes. It's all self-taught. I started pixel art literally because at first I was using RPG Maker, and that comes with its own assets. Like it comes with the RTP, which is just a bunch of assets that are packaged in the program for you to use. But then I shifted to another engine called Game Maker, and this one did not come with a bunch of assets. And so to make my first game, I just had to draw now. And it looked like it looked awful. It looked really bad, but that's how I got started. And then every project after this has been looking just a little bit better. And there you go. This is after, this I started that back in about 2004. So I've been basically getting just a little bit better project by project for 20 years. People who actually get courses are generally going to improve way faster than I did. When you're self-taught and just doing something because you have to, you don't learn very quickly. So it probably, if you're interested in art, it probably won't take you 20 years to end up with this level of skill. I imagine someone who takes courses can probably get to this level in like half the time, or even a quarter of the time. I would say the vast majority of artist stories are like that. It's just that I guess you don't hear those stories as much because, they're not, they're not notable. They're like just the normal way most artists do it, so it's just not really Oh no, it's very Wolfalotl, it's I think the fact that I'm self-taught instead of like having some sort of art education shows very much in some stuff I draw. I think when you have this sort of self-taught approach, you're gonna have I think I talked about this before, but you're gonna end up with a very you're often gonna end up with a very sort of misshapen set of skills. So you're gonna be very good at a few things that you're comfortable at, but as soon as you go out of that, or as soon as you go into fundamentals, this is where you're gonna have like the biggest gaps. Like my fundamentals, like to just draw like characters and stuff, are really bad. A lot of stuff that even beginner artists that just started learning are often gonna know I'm gonna be really bad at. Like I think like experienced artists, if they like get me to draw something that I didn't just decide to draw, will probably pick up on, oh yeah, okay, this guy is self-taught, I probably have a lot of the sort of characteristic issues of that self-taught artists have. Like the way I construct characters, the way I construct scenes is all very cumbersome and is often going to have all sorts of perspective problems. When I animate characters, they often sort of like go off model very quickly, and not in an intentional way, because I don't really use construction lines at all to build characters. I just kind of fucking go with my gut, which is a really bad way to do it, especially if you're going to do animation. Like, there's a lot of things that are like beginner mistakes that I'm going to do even though I've been doing it for 20 years. And yeah, that's the kind of thing you end up with if you're like more self-taught. You're going to have like you're going to be really skilled at a few specific things, but there's a bunch of fundamentals that you're going to be awful at. You know? You end up with just a kind of weird tool set, like a weird, unusual tool set, where you might be really good at a few very specific things, but your sort of general global knowledge, or your knowledge of certain things that most like, you know, most artists might take for granted, might actually be like really, really flimsy, you know? This is Harmonium, Lutraver. A progressive folk, a locally famous progressive folk band from the 70s from Quebec. You generally won't really hear these guys outside of Quebec. And I mean, even like, and now even inside Quebec, you won't hear it very often because, you know, you'd hear them on like oldies stations in Quebec. Yeah, they're from the 70s, so they're definitely not what the youth listens to anymore. So they're locally not exactly niche, but sort of, you know, in a worldwide scale, they're pretty niche. Yeah, there might be some lame covers of them. But yeah, if you want to learn pixel art, I have a few bits of advice I usually give. And one of the big pieces of advice I usually give is to not overly focus on pixel art. Even if pixel art is what you're really sort of interested in, I recommend you just pick up get yourself like a drawing tablet. I mean like a physical sketch pad and some pencils. And try to just get into the habit of sketching if you can. If there's any way for you to like try to push sketching to be part of your daily routine, I think it's very, very good to just try to make sketching on paper part of your daily routine. And you're going to improve at drawing in general very quickly that way. Because the problem with pixel art and with getting better at pixel art is that it's very slow. Pixel art, especially when you're starting out, is very, very slow. And because it's so slow to just draw anything with pixels, it means that in like 1 hour, you can do very little pixel art in 1 hour. So it's like, because of this, it's just the sheer number of hours that it takes for you to get better at drawing through pixel art is much slower than with like sketching on paper. You can just get way more sketching and drawing and practice done with a sketch pad than with pixel art. And because of this, that really just hobbles your progress at getting better overall. And so in a way, just getting better at drawing in general, just from sketching a lot, is just going to is in some ways going to train you at pixel art faster than drawing pixel art itself will. Just because of that huge gap in how slow pixel art is versus how fast sketching is. So yeah, I recommend. I mean, you can still do pixel art still, of course, but I started sketching because this is a story I've told a few times. I started sketching because I had a very long commute to college. I had to take like 2 30 to 40-minute bus rides per day to and back from college every day. And so I just got into the habit of taking a sketch pad with me. And I just doodled in it every day for like 4 or 5 years. And I'll tell you, like about an hour and a half or so, about an hour to an hour and a half of sketching every day for a few years, you're going to get better at drawing. You don't even need like structured sketching. Of course, a more structured kind of practice is going to be more helpful in a lot of ways, but just getting into the habit of like sketching and drawing, just finding a way to just make it part of your daily routine is gonna do a lot of good. Hey, Olympia, how's it going? Yeah, it's doing good. Just doing this Kingdoms of the Dump thing. How you doing? Sometimes it can be difficult to draw in a bus. You know, very often. I mean, depending on the kind of bus you're taking, you might have you might be like standing up. I was lucky. I was in a kind of bus that, you know, that isn't so filled up that people end up standing up. And I was early enough in the in its routine that the bus was usually kind of empty when I got in. So that was a good position for me to be able to sketch every day. You know, if it was if my bus situation was a little bit slower, I might not have been able to get that kind of practice in. Also, it wasn't a particularly shaky bus ride either. You know, just shaky enough that you kind of need to get used to it, but not so shaky that it's super disruptive. I do remember doing some doodles at school, but I think the fact I could do a lot of sketching in the bus on the way to school sort of like sated my appetite for sketching for the day, so I didn't really do it that much at school itself. Yeah. But yeah, I think that time when I was sketching every day in the bus, That's probably when I improved the most in my like early, in my sort of early drawing. I feel like that's when I made like the biggest leaps and bounds in my ability to just like visualize something to draw. I have piles of these old sketchbooks. And I wasn't always like drawing things. Like sometimes I was just like sketching ideas, or like it wasn't really anything structured. I wasn't like doing this for the purpose of getting better. I was literally just, you know, using it as some sort of diversion. Right? Non-bipeds? Oh, I mean, I don't know. See, that's one other issue when you're self-taught. You don't really know how to teach these things because you weren't taught either. So I think being self-taught can kind of make you a little bit awful at actually teaching others, because you don't really know how you're doing things. You're just kind of doing it. You don't have words for what you're doing, you know? So it's kind of tricky. It's kind of tricky to give advice. Because, yeah, you just don't have the vocabulary for it. So, I mean, all I can tell you is, you know, look for models. Look for models to work from, to draw from. And not just models that are like real life stuff, but also like illustration models. Because, like, when you're looking at illustrations, you're looking at like how other people's have abstracted the things that you're drawing. When you're starting out, it can be a little bit scary to try to reproduce something you're looking at that's just like a photo, because you might not really be sort of like the subtleties of real life can be a little bit difficult to render and reproduce. Well, if you're working from something that someone has already abstracted out a bit, it's a little easier to, you know. So yeah, use references and try like different kinds of references. Like try pictures, try illustrations, maybe try you can even try like technical drawings, like anatomical drawings for something. Because that's often going to actually, those are sometimes the most informative, like technical anatomical drawings, because those are usually going to try to stick to like, you know, the important parts that you can use to identify this creature as exactly what it is, you know? So those are often going to be like sketches that sort of focus on the little details that can really identify something properly, right? So I feel, yeah, I guess that might be a bit of advice there. That I feel like the most useful models I've had for trying to reproduce a specific animal has been like anatomical drawings. Because, yeah, those tend to focus on exactly what you need to have like whatever animal you're drawing actually visually represent specifically that animal. Because that's the whole point of those anatomical drawings, right? Is to help you identify and differentiate this animal from other similar ones, right? So that goal really aligns well with trying to, to accurately reproduce the animal too, right? I did not use references on the bus. On the bus, I was just having fun. I use references when I try to draw something very specific in pixel art. Especially when I try to get like the colors right on something. That's when I use references the most. Like whenever I'm trying to draw something new, you know, like the first time I wanted to draw some cockroach enemies for Malison, which I had to do a lot of, I started just looking at a bunch of photographs of cockroaches. And by now, I've very much internalized how to draw a cockroach. because I've drawn a shit ton of them. I mean, I'll still probably use a model if some models if I want to draw one again. Because it's been a while since I've made a very detailed cockroach monster. Yeah, that's what you do. Look for models, and look for very different kinds of models too. Sometimes maybe a specific type, a specific approach is going to be, might be more, you know, informative for you. We have to be kind of careful now with models taken online, because sometimes it's some random AI. Some random AI can sometimes kind of look for like actual pictures of the thing, and that can kind of lead you to making mistakes. Like if certain animals are often confused for another, then that's actually going to reflect itself in the AI results. And so you might end up like, oh, you think you're drawing this, but you're actually drawing this other thing. Yet it's going to be confidently labeled as the thing that you're trying to represent. I mean, that's always a problem with looking for things online, but AI has kind of amplified this because people tend to trust it, and they really shouldn't. Yep. The end-shitification. It's happening. Yeah, also it helps to put like a limited date to like before 2002. That's gonna help too. It doesn't protect you completely. I mean, it protects you from AI, but it doesn't protect you from people just mislabel things online. But still, that can be part of what you want to do. I'm sorry, I don't know. I mean, a bubble's probably going to burst, but that's not going to make the tech go away. You know, in the end, it is a way for people to cut costs on things is not going to go away. They're just going to use it. Cutting costs is more important than delivering a good product. It's just how it is. It's profitable for certain things, but I think, you know, the less things need to be really trusted for accuracy, then I guess the less risk they have. But, you know, in the end, it's a way for people to not have to hire artists, and that's, you know, to a lot of companies, that is worth its weight in gold. Which is not a metaphor that makes a lot of sense here, but whatever. Hey, Red Elk, how's it doing? Yeah, a lot of it is basically like a big old investment scam or something scam adjacent. A lot of it, at least, very much feels like that. It's just an entire, like, hype-based economy. Yep. Hello, Space Top. The romance. I don't know if Jan is, is in the right headspace for romance right now, you know? I mean, we all process horrors and grief differently, sure. Fleur noire, t'as besoin d'eau, quand ton épine dans ma peau. Thanks for the bits. I appreciate it. Sans plus rien. Neige noire, poudre d'hiver, mes yeux seront en feuille. Je sais qu'ils sont plus hauts. Je ne passe pour servir du beau. Yeah, I'm not, She might actually struggle to eat at all now. I'd imagine she might literally get flashbacks when she eats anything. It's gonna be a rough time, I imagine. She might become if it's compatible with her at all, I'd actually imagine her becoming vegan. Because she literally just can't stomach the feeling of eating meat anymore. Because it just brings back those memories. Yeah, if she's become an obligate carnivore, that's gonna be rough. I mean, she kind of looks like one, but I mean, sometimes she definitely has a carnivore vibe, but sometimes. So, Chat noir crible les yeux, rouge gilet blanc les yeux. Tu es cheveux qui sont plus forts, les yeux juste ne peut pas crier encore. Mon sang est silencieux comme de l'eau. La vérité, j'ai faim. Le moi du bonheur, j'ai peur. Y'a rien qui peut savoir parce que moi je sais. Wow. Once you pop, you can't stop. Yeah, of course. Thug. We didn't make them likable by accident. We know what we were doing. We knew what we were doing. Yes, Lyle especially. Do 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 do. Sister, réveille-moi donc. Ça va être notre tour, ça sera pas long. Disparaissez, place, ça s'en vient. Oh, sister, réveille-moi donc. Ça va être notre tour, ça sera pas long. Disparaissez, place, ça s'en vient. Sister, réveille-moi donc.
Oh no, it's
Ça
time
va
to
être
stretch.
notre tour, ça sera pas long. Disparaissez, place, ça s'en vient. Sister, réveille-moi donc. Ça va être notre tour, ça sera pas long. Oh, Let's do a little stretch, folks. Just a little stretch. Ooh. Oh, only these left? Yeah, I'm finishing this tonight, folks. I might even have a little bit of time to do some more work on barrel. Aujourd'hui, je dis bonjour à la vie. Aujourd'hui, je dis bonjour à la vie. Demain, je ne vous parlerai plus. On cherche toujours quelques lettres gravées. Sur son vieux et sur un vieux pavé. Yeah, that's the last animation I need to make for it. Almost done with it. Almost done with it. Just a few frames left. I still have more things to do for this project still, but I think most of the others I can't actually stream. Or if I stream them, I'll need to figure out some way to hide the spoilers. Because they're all like late game bosses I have left to do. So I'll need to figure out something. I think I would probably just do those on every Monday. I'll just work on those every Monday, probably. But yeah, it would be basically a censored stream where what I'm actually drawing, except maybe like maybe there would be like I don't know if I could do a thing where like there's like a tiny segment around the mouse that isn't blurred and everything else is blurred or something. I don't know. Like maybe the very center of the screen isn't blurred, but the rest is. I don't know. Maybe that would be a way to do it. So you can kind of see the little detail, the core of detail, what I'm actually doing, but you wouldn't get the general context. So that would limit the spoiling. You could only really tell what I'm doing if you're looking at the entire stream and really paying attention. And otherwise, if you just glance at it, it would just be nonsense. I don't know. Maybe that could be a way to do it. Yeah, of course. That's what I'll do. I mean, I already told them I could find a way to, like, censor the stream. And they said they'd be okay with that, but I would need to show them the actual way I would do it. To see if they're okay with that amount of it. Yeah, people could absolutely do this. People could absolutely do this to piece it together, in which case I would probably not do it. That would probably just mean I don't do the streams. People are really addicted to spoiling things for themselves. They, like, literally can't help it. I'll never understand. I will never understand it. It must be a Zoomer thing. It must be a Zoomer thing, just craving spoilers. Demanding to have things ruined for you. You know, it's one of those generational things. Millennials will never understand. Yeah, there you go. That's the Zoomer. Yeah, it really is just a generational thing. Millennials will never get it. The hunger for content. The hunger for content. You know, millennials grew up partially outside of the internet. We're the last generation that sometimes doesn't want content. And after that... Also might be more of a gamer type thing too, you know? Like, I'm an exploration gamer. That's probably got a big impact, you know? Exploring is the main thing I like in games. And obviously exploring is very negatively impacted by spoilers. Because the whole point is you want to see it, you want to experience it yourself. So that might be also part of it. I'm just the gamer archetype that hates spoilers the most. So I really didn't care much for Neo. Because although it's a fun game and everything, felt like it focuses on like the parts of the Souls games that I care for the least. And kind of like... and diminished the parts that were most important to me, you know? So it all in on really difficult battles and duels and all that. And making abstraction of most exploration. I love playing a game and finishing it and realizing I missed a huge part of it. That's something I actually like. That's something I'm actually seeking out. The idea that there was a huge thing that I walked right past it and never know it. Especially if it's like huge and like spooky or something. I love that shit. Like, that's one of my favorite things to learn about a game after I beat it. Is that I missed a huge spooky thing that was right there the whole time. That's so spooky. I love it. This is one reason I like, you know, weird creepypasta stuff hidden in games. Because that's very often the way that it works. Often kind of has that vibe to it. I think most secrets, most like really, really deep secrets, like when you find there was like a hidden ending to a game or like a hidden area or anything like that, that's all gonna do that to me. Especially if like the hidden area, like the entrance to it or like the way to access it is something you did see. You just had no idea what to do about it, you know? And then if you find that what was in there was really spooky shit, that's great. Some of my favorite things. So I feel like that's one of my favorite parts. That's one of my favorite kinds of horror. When it feels like you barely missed something terrifying. I love that. Like the feeling that you barely missed something that would have made you think things completely differently. You know? You naively walked just by something and you had no idea you were right next to the spooky thing this whole time. It almost touched your shoulder. You know? It's real spooky, you know? Yeah, a lot of like hidden endings, hidden areas. A lot of stuff like that often kind of feeds into that. Or sometimes it's not necessarily things I missed. Sometimes it's just going to be things I found, but I feel like, wow, I could have missed that. I could have very easily missed that. And it's pure chance that I stumbled on it. And sometimes you can fake that. Sometimes you can make something actually very easy to find, but that gives the feeling that it would have been really easy to miss, you know? Oh yeah, the rat hole guy was meant to be very easy to miss. I think most people never found that. It took a while for people to find it. It was in the game for I think it took like 2 or 3 weeks for people to first find the rat hole guy. Or at least for me to hear about people finding it. Obviously, it's hard to tell when someone first found it. Obviously, you know, not everyone's going to talk about it online when they find something. But I think it took me like a good... I think it took at least a week or maybe more for me to notice people talking about the rat hole guy. But yeah, you know, I understand. Not everyone has the same sort of relationship to video games. Not everyone plays them with the same, you know. Not everyone plays them with the same schedule. You know, some people just don't have a lot of time to put in them. I mean, I don't actually play games that often anymore. I just don't really have that much time for them. I just kind of, every once in a while, start digging into one game pretty hard for like a few days. And then I just, you know, because I did this now, work has piled up, so I stopped playing games entirely for like a week, you know? Yeah, I also don't really like open world games. They kind of very often kind of feel like they waste my time a bit. Actually, no, that's not true. That's not true. It's not that I hate open world games. It's more like an open world game needs to do something really, really good for me to be interested, you know? It's like I'll get into a non-open world game a lot easier. But if something is like a big open world game, like, you know, it's going to need to convince me before I give it a chance. And I maintain that Elden Ring would have probably been a better game if it had not been open world. Like, I like Elden Ring overall, but I feel like by far the best parts of that game are all the parts that are not open world. And, like, in the end, like, the open world itself, you know, it wasn't, like, worthless or anything. There's some cool moments, and there's some cool things that happen in the open world when you're exploring the open world in Elden Ring that it would not have without it. So it's not like it was a complete, you know, loss or anything. It wasn't just a negative or anything like that, but I still think the game would have just been better if they had shrunk the world. And most of the experience of it would have been, you know, the legacy dungeons. Like, clearly the legacy dungeons were the best part of the game to me. Very obviously. I've liked some games that are open world, but I tend to... I don't know. Yeah, I've played a lot of. Trying to think of what's the latest game that I spent a lot of time on. I mean, I played Voices of the Void a little bit last week. I think I'm mostly done with it now. I mentioned it yesterday, I think. And I like it. I think it's a really good idea. It's a fun combination of like job simulator and immersive sim. I don't like that, but I think it kind of shows some of the tensions between those genres a little bit, and some of the tensions of it I didn't like too much. I feel like in Voices of the Void, I feel like exploring outside wasn't fun enough. Every time I left like the base, it felt like a chore. And I feel like that's kind of a problem. Like leaving the base to go out there should kind of feel I feel like it should have felt like exciting, but it never did. It always felt like annoying. You know? It always felt like, man, I wish I could just stay inside in that game. And that's weird. It should, like, leaving the safety of your base should be the most exciting moment in a game like this, I feel. And it just feels like a chore. It feels annoying. I'm not sure why exactly, but I know that I felt that very strongly every time I left, you know? I think part of it is, like, just the navigation is, like, just a bit... There's a lot of janky things about navigating with, like, with your little truck thing. Hey Raiders, how's it going? I really hate the sound of the VTT, especially. Like I really hate the sound of it. Super annoying. The way that like the roar sound of the engine keeps starting over every time you tap the forward or the back arrow keys is so annoying. I hate that so much. It just goes every time you tap. I hate that so much. It's so annoying. That alone, I think, is maybe like half of the reason I'm stopping. I'm not playing anymore. Also, the way that like the way you need to like leave your vehicle to look at like your items, the way that you can't pause the game while you're on the vehicle, like there's so many little things that kind of make navigating the world outside your base annoying. It's just a little awkward in a bunch of ways. Plus de temps comme avant, je remplis mes oreilles. No, there's 2 more animations that are already made. This is just the last one. This is just the last one I need to make. SF2. I don't know what that is. Il m'a dit de Oh. I don't think I've ever heard of Sally Face 2. Or Sally Face 1 for that matter.
Oh no, it's time to stretch.
All right, let's do some Genesis. My country lies, set a uniform to his true love's eyes. He lies with me, cried the queen of maybe, for her merchandise he traded in his sprite. Paper late, cried a voice in the crowd. Old man dies, a note he left, and signed old father thence. It seems he's drowned, sailing England by the pound. Citizen of hope and glory, time goes by, is the time of your life. easy. Sit you down, chewing through the wimpy dreams they eat without a sound, digesting and gland by the pound. Woman says you are what you eat well. Woman says you are what you wear. You know what you are, you don't give a damn. Busting your belt, that is your homemade shell. The captain leads his dance right on through the night. Dance with the girl in the mold. On to the coldest cold. Dancing out with the moonlit night. Knights of the green shield stamp and shout. The deck is uneven right from the start, and all the other hands attain. The captain leads us, dance right all through the night. Gold is gold, dancing out with the moonlit night. Knights of the green shield stamp and shout. Almost done. Just need to slurp the spaghetti in there. Just need to slurp the spaghetti now. No, it's probably a little too goopy for al dente. I mean, look at it. It looks al dente to you? Don't think so. Yeah, this is the kind of spaghetti that's been boiling for like 4 hours. It's tripled it's tripled its size. The water's completely gone from the pot. A song about a lawnmower. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. I can always hear them talk. There's always been a thought. Jacob would come, you gotta tidy your room now. And then Mr. Lewis, there isn't a time that he was out on his own. Over the garden wall, where your lovebirds cuckoo to you. Keep them white blade sharps hung out. What I like, and I like what I know. Getting better in your wardrobe. On the show. Listen, son, you're wasting time. There's a future for you in the fire escape trade. Come up the town. But I remember a voice from the past. Gambling only pays when you're winning. Got to build this more for schooling a failure. Keep the mind blade sharp. I know what I like, and I like what I know. Getting better in your wardrobe. Beyond your show. What I like, and I like what I know. Getting better in your wardrobe. I can always hear them talk. Me, I'm just a you can tell by the way I walk. And I think this song is about a shitty river, if I remember. It's about a shitty river. There you go. I think that's pretty good subject matter for a song. The path is clear, though no eyes can see. The course laid down long before. Fallen gods and men. The sheep remain inside the pen. The raining away. Gaze with joy to see reflected there the scene of death is lying just below. Like a cat is removed. Let it be revealed. The world is mad. It's I think it's one of my favorite Genesis tracks. Just a really amazing instrumental middle section. Goes through so many. It's a real little musical journey right in the middle of the song. I'm a sucker for these instrumental journeys that go in all sorts of directions, then come back to the core melody, especially if it brings it back in a kind of unusual way. One of my favorite songs ever does like a super extreme version of this. One of my favorite songs ever is like just a really extreme. I guess all of my favorite songs are just various attempts at doing that in different ways. Now I think of it. Starless is basically that. I'm just thinking of a bunch of songs that are like my favorites, and they basically all do that. Son of Mr. Green Jeans from Frank Zappa is that. Lumière de Vie from Harmonium. That's definitely my favorite Harmonium song, and it's like an extreme version of that. It's like they set up a melody in the first like 2 minutes, and they like play, and like in the first 2 minutes they like there's like this whole melody that they play just once in its entirety in the 2 minutes, in the first 2 minutes of the song, and then the next 20 minutes they just keep hinting at the melody and playing the start and never completing it again. They just kind of tease the melody the whole time for like 20 fucking minutes. They just keep bringing it back, and it just, you know, they just tickle the first half of the melody and never complete it. Always leave it incomplete. And then at the very end, they bring it back with like, you know, the huge bombast, and they finally play the whole thing again. I'm such a sucker for stuff like that. Such a sucker for it. Like the easiest mark. I am such a mark for this kind of song structure. I'm sure there's a specific term for this very specific use of setting up a motif and then only hinting to it and always, yeah, you know, edging the melody. I guess you could say that. I'm sure there's a term for that because it's such a recurring structure, and it's very evocative. You know, it can kind of communicate longing or missing something, or, you know. Yeah, Son of Mr. Green Jeans is a great example. Starless is a great example. Starless, you know, starts setting up one melody, and then it goes into like a 15-minute long, like weird thing that completely changes the vibe of the song, and then it turns into some just a jazzy madness, and then at the very end just brings it back for the conclusion for like the last 30 seconds. And it hits every time. It hits every time. It's almost like they're almost trying to make you forget about that original like setup melody. You know? They change ideas, they move around, they move on so many times that you almost forget. And then when it comes back, it almost takes you a little moment the first time you hear it to like remember, oh right, that's what the song was about at first. Yeah. And then it's just over. Yep. But yeah, I don't know if there's a specific term for that. That very specific use of like a melody or motif. To just play it once at the start, or at least very limited, in a very limited form at the start. And then just sort of like keep hinting at it. Actually, no, well, in Starless, they don't hint at it at all. The melody does not come back at all. It only plays at the very start and at the very end. Son of Mr. Green Jeans, they do keep hinting at it. Like it's sort of in the entire song, but it's only very clear at the start and at the end. Lumière de Vie, that one, it keeps hinting at it. It keeps poking at it. Like every segment of the song is made out of like different variations of that melody. And it's always just partial bits of it. It's always partial like bits of like the first half of it. And they just never lock it in. You know? They deprive you of the satisfaction of ending that line. A meander? Maybe. I really don't know musical terminology at all. But yeah, I'm sure there's a term for it. It's a recurring enough thing, I'm sure. Yeah, there might be a few moments in like the jazzy breakdown, the jazzy part. Yeah, there's some bits that are like tan, 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 tan. Yeah, there's some bits where like it's basically 3 notes of it, you know? Yeah, there's like one moment, like maybe 2 minutes before they actually bring it back, that just goes tan, 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 and that's it. And then it just return into the jazz chaos, right? Yeah, just a tiny little nod to it. Yeah. I know you ain't seen nothing like it, not since the Civil War. I was mortified. I was mortified when I finally learned. For sure. That a certain type of media that shares a name with the lyrics of this song was actually really a reference to this song, and not just a, coincidental, or, they're both referencing a third thing. No. They're just actual, they're actually just King Crimson fans. The line is from an old poem. I forget who by. So there was a chance. There was a chance that other thing was a reference to the poem. But no. No, it's not. Alas. Security trade, he's got it made. And a shop that need aid and those that haven't paid. Boo, boo, I do my double show quick. Set and make the prick. Fresh up the neck. I sell cheap all day. The minute I leave the visit I pay, and does it pay? And is a friend liquid led by a name of wine, woman, and Wentworth fame. I'm breaking the legs off the bastard that got me fried. I'm breaking the legs off the bastard that got me fried. Alright, we're done. We're done, folks. I was hoping I'd have a bit more time to do some work on... yeah, we got the idol. We got the idol. We got the pain frame. And we got the attack. Just bloop. My employers have changed, but the name has remained. Well, I do have a little time left, so... I do have a little time left, so I could do a little. I could do a little on this. Let's see what the trouble was. The devil is hard. Perhaps, if it's not too late, we could trust you in your old devil. Oh, no, not me. I'm a man of repute. With the devil, but a hold of my soul. And a voice called out, shoot. I don't think there's any, there isn't a secret, oh. An incoming hat break, folks. There isn't like a secret to it, Imperium. If you do it a lot, it just, the more you do it, the easier it comes to you. You just have to do it a lot, and then it becomes easy. With a bit of puru every week, with love, peace, and truth incorporated for all who seek. He employed me as a karma mechanic with overall charms. His hands were then fit to receive ours. Blue, 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 blue. All right, time to stretch, folks. It's why you hear the battle on the pink forest. Time to stretch, folks. You got your souls for peanuts, and we got your shops and houses for just a little more. The ad isn't starting for some reason. There it is. Ooh. Fucking 90s dance music ass bit. Isn't it? Doesn't that sound like dance music from the 90s, this part? There's no one left alive. Must be a draw. So the black cat burns. Toss a coin to settle the score. Okay, so, yeah, the basic sprite is basically done on this one. I just need to separate it. So let's put this into its own ASC file and start cutting it up. Let's start cutting it up a bit. Home from work, hi Juliet, here's a morning meal. She dabs her skin with pretty smells concealing to appear. I will make my bed, she said, return to go. She'd be late for a cinema show. Cinema show. Romeo locks his basement flat and scurries up the stair. With head held high and floral tie, a weekend billionaire. I will make my bed with her tonight. He cries. Can he fail, armed with his chocolate surprise? Take a little trip with Father Tiresias. Listen to the old one speak of all he has lived through. Eye of cross within the walls. There is no mystery. Once a man like a sea raged. Once a woman like the earth I gave, but there is in fact more earth than sea. Okay, there's going to be part of these serpents that are going to be part of the body here. Yeah, part of these serpents are going to be in the body sprite. It's only the separate snakes that you can attack separately are going to be there. I'll need to think a little bit more about the structure of this. I might actually have to change the... I might have to tweak the design a little bit to fit the idea better. We'll see. Tiresias. Listen to the old one speak of all he has lived through. I've crossed between the poles. There is no more mystery. Once a man like a sea outraged. Once the woman like the earth I gave. But there is in fact more earth than sea.
Oh no, it's time to stretch.
I'm gonna probably tweak some of them to have slightly different positions so that they're because I can't have them all there right away. So I'm gonna have some of them like appear later. Hey there, Mary. Yeah. Finish this, yeah. There you go. evaporates. Still alone in all hello. See the deadly nightshade grow. Yeah, there's going to be a bit more work to do in this one, but I think most of the work here is going to be about, like, yeah, placing the snakes a little differently, the serpents. Because, yeah, like, 2 of them are going to be there from the start, and then 1 more is added every turn. But the ones that are added need to come in. So they can't be visible at the start. So there needs to be a lot of the serpents here that actually like move, that are like pointing out of the view, right? That are like extended out of view so that they can just, like, the head can just come in on its own, you know? Those lyrics, it makes a lot more sense. The lyrics for the song Isle of Plenty makes a lot more sense when you realize it's just a bunch of names of like convenience stores in Britain. Like the whole song is just a bunch of puns about different convenience stores. I'll put it on again and just look at the wording. Yeah. Yep. That's this song. And then after that, it's like, it's all like, you know, like them calling out like deals at local stores. The first song is also filled with puns like that. I mean, the album is called Selling England by the Pound. So I think it's like generally something about, consumerism. So this last song is like, the other bookend of that idea. And it's about, the selling happening. I made a video of it, actually. Conqueror Worm. It's on my YouTube. I recorded a little YouTube short showing the tree. Yeah. Let me pull it up. One moment. There you go. Look at that. That's that tree.
Look at these little guys. Look at them. There's so many of them.
Yeah, they're box elders.
Apparently they're not actually attacking the tree. They're completely safe. They're just basically using the tree as shelter. That's what I saw online.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. They're just staying on the tree for like, I think that's just where they like winter. That's just where they they just look for a big tree with craggy bark that they can hide in the little cracks of it. At least I saw online that it's completely harmless to the tree. But I think some person in like on Twitter said, "Oh, those are box elder bugs. This tree's gonna be dead soon." So I don't know. Who knows? I don't actually know any of this. I just those trees not long for this world. I don't know. Who can say? Living strawberries. Some birds posting. Some people bird posting here. Strawberries. Yeah, they're just like strawberries. Can't believe. Bird posting again. Fucking growbacks posting. We got some growbacks in chat. I don't know. It's just the only bird I can. That was just the first bug eating bird that came to mind. Well, I imagine the problem is that if you look up, the problem is if you look up whether some bugs are harmful and if you need to deal with them, if the first site that you get is, like a pest control, they're probably going to tell you, yeah, you need to hire us. It's urgent. You need to give us a job, actually. I feel like they got a bit of an incentive to Got a bit of an incentive. Yeah, so this isn't actually, there's going to be a lot of in-betweens here. But basically, like I said before, the idea for this fight is you're going to have two types of targets. You can target the body, or you can target individual like serpents, and there's going to be several serpents. At first, there's just going to be two at first, and then every turn an extra serpent's going to show up to 6 extra ones, I think, maybe. Or maybe up to 6 total, so maybe only 4 of them show up. And you need to both attack the serpents and attack the body, because if you don't attack the serpents, then there's way too many. There's way too many are gonna stack up, and they're gonna be doing way too much damage for you to survive a turn. But if you stop attacking the body is going to do 2 sets of attacks. A basic attack that's always done every turn, but also a gaze attack as well. And the gaze attack is going to be worse the more eyes are open. And you need to keep damaging the body to have more of the eyes closed so that it does a weaker gaze attack. So when all the eyes are open, it's going to do that one attack that has a chance to insta-kill characters. A small chance, but it's still there. So that's pretty bad. And you need to just keep doing damage to the body to prevent and then that lowers the tier of attack that it does. And it's also going to recover 50 HP at normal and maybe 100 HP at hard. And so that means you need to constantly do damage to the body because the eyes basically open back again if you stop attacking it. So yeah. So there's kind of 2 separate things doing pressure to you. The body kind of doing pressure by stacking a bunch of status effects that disrupt you if you leave it alone too much. And the snakes are directly attacking you and hurting you. So you kind of have to decide which you prioritize based on how well you're doing. Yeah. So I think that's cool. I think that's a fun dynamic. That should be and also I'll give the serpents and the body 2 kind of opposite resistances so that if you're just doing group attacks, it's gonna help. Group attacks are gonna help, but you need to pick the proper group attack to do more damage to one or the other. So I think probably piercing attacks are going to do more damage to the body, and slashing attacks are going to do more damage to the serpents, probably. And crushing is probably going to be just mildly resisted by both. And we'll see for the others. Yeah, I think that's a good little. So yeah, I'll need to make several different frames with more of the eyes closed for each phase, each phase of the body as it gets closer to death. And I might need to tweak the serpents so that I can more easily because yeah, right now the serpents, the problem is that they're they need to curve out. They need to curve out of you. They need to all be except for 2 of them and also some of the foreground ones. They need to be more like this one that just sticks outside so that I can have a separate head appear as its own enemy, right? This one is good because this one I could just have a head appear and attack, right? But this one kind of needs to be there from the start. This one needs to be there from the start, So I need to extend them so that they extend outside completely, so that you can imagine that the heads are just not, that the heads are just not turned towards you yet. And then when they appear, it's okay, the head, that head has turned its attention to you, right? I'll probably need to mess with these here. I might actually just combine these two into one, so that this one is actually the head, and that neck is going to extend out on the side, and then when this one attacks, it's just going to appear, and it's just going to be like this, probably. Stuff like that. But yeah, so there's going to need to be some tweaks to the design to just fit the idea a little better. I think the two first heads that'll be active is definitely going to be this one and this one. And I think this one, the body that used to be, Beryl's original body here, I'm thinking this one is probably going to have more moves. Like, this one might have, like, spells or something. Like, I'm thinking this one might have more moves while the others just bite. So maybe taking this one out as quick as you can might actually be important. Because, I'm feeling like her main old body should do more than, the generic heads. I mean, it's got arms and everything, But yeah. So yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea. All right, but yeah, that's going to be it for tonight, folks. Let's see. As usual, I'll show my Patreon. So please have a look. Thank you. And now let's look for people to raid. Let's look for people to raid on Twitch. Let's see if anyone's playing Look Outside. People are playing Soundhill F. I am a little curious to see what that game is gonna turn out like. Oh, some people are playing. Some people are playing here. Okay. A couple folks are playing. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, let's go with this one.
I did
it. Let's raid Shamia live. We got a VTuber, folks. A VTuber's looking outside right now. All right. But yeah, thank you all for watching, folks. And take care.